Jane, thank you so much. It's an absolute joy to be here and in your beautiful house. And I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm a great, great fan of your novels. I think you've written 13.
13, yeah.
I think I've read about 6 of them, including, I'm going to do a merciless advertisement here. I love this book. I love oversharing. I really, really enjoyed it. And I love the way that, there's so many twists and turns and so many plots in your books. And it's just, I call them actually my escapism, because it's almost like the book version of Downton Abbey or Afterlife or Game of Thrones. And I just wondered, how on earth do you think, I know you've probably been asked this question so many times, but how do you think of all the different twists and turns and plots?
Oh, well, I spent about 3 months. I spent about 6 months writing the first draft, but before that I spent about 3 months coming up with the idea, because it takes me ages to work out all the twists and turns. And I know that with my writing, it's best when there's lots of plot, lots of twists and turns. That's kind of what I'm good at, I think. Yeah. So I often go down dead ends. I'll have an idea and I think it's brilliant, and then I'll work it through, and I think, oh no, that's not going to work. So what I tend to do is, once I've got my setting that I'm interested in, so in this one it was, I wanted to write about Instagram influencers, then I'll work out through every stage what could happen now, what are all the different things that could happen next, and then it's like a tree, then I'll work down all of those and think, what would happen if that happened, what would happen if that happened, and I just keep going like that till I sort of build it up.
Yeah, because there's this sort of books that you think, oh yeah, now I've got it, now and then you turn the page and everything totally changes, and it's like, no way.
Oh, good.
So no, I love them. What would be your just one secret to writing a best-selling novel, if you had one?
Well, if I had one, I'd have done it before I was 46, is the truth, if I had a secret. But do you know what? I don't know about writing a bestseller, but in terms of writing, you've just got to sit down and write. I procrastinated. I mean, I did used to write when I was younger all the time.
Yeah.
But I procrastinated a lot in terms of following things through, finishing books, making things better. Because I think it's a sort of defense mechanism. If you keep putting it off, you can never get rejected. Yeah. So I think the main key is just sit down as often as you can and write, even if it's rubbish. Just keep writing, keep working at it.
You're so funny, because actually I'm writing a book, and I am not, and I never will be in your league, and it's my first and last book. But I got
That's a very big statement.
Seriously, it is. I've got a friend who's my agent as well, Jo, in Hong Kong, and she says to me, Jill, just use plenty of bum glue. I don't know if you've heard of that. She said exactly what you've just said. Down. Just write rubbish, even if you can't think of something, and you can always go back to it. And I was going to ask you as a joke, how much bum glue do you have in your drawer?
Not enough, clearly, but I definitely find that the editing process for me is more enjoyable in a way than writing the first draft. Once I've got, I think maybe because I started off as a script editor, but once I've got something I can work with, then I'm fine. Yeah. It's the getting that initial 100,000 words down on paper that's the really, really, really tough bit.
And if you hit a wall?
If I hit a wall, I've never thankfully hit a complete and utter wall. If I hit a wall for a few days, then I have 2 ways of dealing with it. Either I'll just keep writing, knowing what I'm writing is terrible, hoping that I'll then hit a point that will inspire me, and then I can go back and rewrite that later. Or sometimes what I do is, because I don't like to keep reworking an early draft too much, because I think you can take the life out of it. But what I'll do is I'll just pick a random chapter, I'll just put the word chapter into search, and I'll hit it a few times, and I'll pick a random chapter, and I'll just work on that chapter as an isolated piece of work. So I'll just try and, zhuzh it up and make it funnier and more entertaining and better, and that will sort of help. As long as I keep doing something, I think then I'm fine. Yeah.
And running, is that right? Did I read that somewhere?
Well, I used to run. I can't run anymore because my ankles and my knees are kaput. So now, it's so frustrating. Walking now. Fresh air basically is really good, I think, for clearing your head.
Right. Yeah. I skip. I go skipping.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, I can't do that anymore. That's why you're in such good shape.
No, or maybe that I'm maybe not far behind you.
How are your knees? I was going to say, how are your knees?
I know, they're all right now, but it's I do it for bone density actually, just to bring
I do weights for that. Yeah.
That's another story. But so okay, apart from of course the the writing and thing, your love of animals, Jane. You support so many groups, and thank heavens you support Animals Asia. Thank you for that as well. It's this has been quite a journey, I think, over the years with you. You supported our No Voice, No Choice campaign many years ago, and that was against the use of wild animals in performances. Yeah. And then later, our Cheeky campaign, which I think probably appealed to your sense of humour, let a bear, SH, exclamation mark T, in the woods, which, you know, behind that rather cheeky statement, I suppose, there was a serious part of, while we're all, you know, saying, does a bear or not poo in the woods? There are thousands and thousands of bears that are lying and dying in their own feces on farms across Asia. We also, of course, you've been a bear guardian for Jane in Vietnam, and you've helped us on the social networks as well. And I just wondered, you know, we've got so many people listening in from the US, from Canada, from Australia, Europe, Asia. They're all wanting to know, you know, what piqued your interest in Animals Asia? Why did you start to support us?
I think it was, obviously animals have always been my kind of first big love, but I can remember, I think, the first time that I met you, which was when our mutual friend, who was my neighbour, Angela Humphrey, who is an incredible
Isn't she?
Force for animal rights. I think she's 93 maybe.
Yeah.
Her and her late husband Martin, and they used to live next door to us, and the common ground that we had was our shared love of animals, and they would always organise things to raise money for charities, and they were big supporters of you. And I think they had some kind of fun or a little gathering in their garden.
That's right.
You were coming over, and they asked us to come along, and I didn't really know anything about the bear bile farms at that point at all. And obviously once you hear about it, it's horrendous. But I also remember meeting you and thinking, here's this gorgeous little tiny petite woman who's taken on this incredible horrendous industry and seems to be winning. And I was so impressed with what you were doing. And also there was a story, I mean, I don't think I've ever even asked you if this was true, but there was a story, I think, that someone told me that you had started it because you had gone round a bear bar farm and one of the bears had put their paw out, and it made me cry. And when I started to think about that image, I couldn't get it out of my head really, and I knew that you were a kind of organisation that really deserved our support.
Oh, bless you. And thank heavens you did, really. Thank you. It was a true story, and it makes me cry to this day because I never saw her again. But I did make her a promise that, you know, we'd do something, anything in our power to perhaps not be able to help her, but help all, you know, the bears that came after her as well. And I guess that's the thing. I mean, how, you know, now in Vietnam, how do you feel to be part of the solution in Vietnam now?
It's incredible. I think it's incredible what you're doing, and the fact that it's working so well, that it's been so successful, that you're getting support from so many people. Yeah, it's phenomenal, I think.
Well, it's taken time, but you know, it is nice to be at this, what we call the end game. It really is. It's taken its toll, I have to say. You know, it's been since the 90s. So where did those years go, huh? You know,
I know, but what a worthwhile way to spend your life there, really.
Yeah. I don't regret it for a second, but you know, thank you again for being part of the journey, and I should say thanks to your therapists as well. Thanks to you know, cats like Ollie and Pickle that have been with you for so many years. And, you know, Pickle makes me laugh so much. I do, you know, she pops up on my Twitter account sometimes and I see she's got 80,000 followers, an influencer in every sense of the word. And I think you just got back from holiday. Jane, you gave her a pencil.
We did give her a pencil. She's obsessed with pencils. She's literally obsessed with pencils. You get a pencil out and I see her little eyes light up. And so for some reason now, every time we go away, we kind of steal a hotel pencil and bring it back for her. And I don't know, I don't think she knows it's a new pencil, but this time the hotel had lovely gold coloured pencils, which I thought was very fitting because it was her 7th birthday the day after we came back. So yeah, she just likes to play with them. I don't know what it is in them. She likes to kill them. She likes to rub her face on them. And, yeah.
So now the whole world and the hotel know that you've stolen their pencil for your cat. You didn't think like a catnip felt mouse would have done the trick.
No, she's got hundreds of those, and apart from her taco, which is her main love in life, I think.
What?
Her taco.
Taco.
You don't know about her taco?
I don't know about her taco.
Oh, goodness, I'll introduce you. She has basically, when she first arrived with us, when we were fostering her, we still had all of Ollie's toys. And one of those toys had been sent to us by someone in America, I can't remember who, and it's basically a taco and it's filled with silvervine, which some cats are not that fussed about catnip, but silvervine they really love. And Ollie was never interested in the taco. And then Pickle arrived and we were like, choose a toy. And she went for the taco, with the only silvervine one in there. And that was 3 years ago. She's still obsessed with him. She beats him senseless. He's her favourite thing. She walks around with him in her mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and catnip doesn't really do it for her, but silvervine sends her insane. So he's her favourite thing in the world. And then obviously her pencil collection.
Well, we did have a bit of a whip round as well, Jane, because we just felt a pencil, really, on behalf of Animals Asia, we just wanted to give her some treats. And we hear that these are, in fact, Andrew, who's filming this now, says his cat goes crazy for them. So
Pickle was sent some of these once, and they were in a box, because there were quite a few of them, and we had them in a box in the utility room. We went out and came back one day, and I was like, has someone been in here? And it was carnage all over the floor. She got into the box, she'd opened 7 of them and eaten them all. And it was just, there were bits of ripped up plastic, because they're in plastic in here. It's not like they're easy to get into.
Right.
She'd ripped all the plastic apart. Yeah, she absolutely loves them, so they're going to go down really well.
Well, good. I'm so. So, a really simple question, but perhaps with huge depth to it, Jade. Just what does being an animal lover mean to you? And was there an epiphany? Was there an occasion? Was there an animal? What's the background to that?
I think there sort of wasn't an epiphany. So animals were always, like I said, my big thing. I grew up with a cat and a dog from when I was 3, and rabbits and guinea pigs and all that kind of thing. And I think because I was a very introverted child, and I still am quite introverted, I've made the mistake actually in interviews of saying I was shy, and I don't think I was shy, because shy implies a sort of sweet, nice, naive, and I was like one of those angry introverts, like furious with the world. But I would just spend all my time hanging out with the dog and the cat. That was it was my therapy. And
oh my gosh.
The dog had a big kennel out the back. I'd climb in there with him and with a book and a torch, and that was what I do. So loving animals was always my huge deal. And I think I went through that stage for quite a few years that a lot of us do, that we love animals, but we don't really think enough about what they are as beings. So, I would say I love pigs, but I was still eating bacon or whatever. Then I started following the Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary in Canada, who have Esther the Wonder Pig. So I started following them, completely fell in love with Esther, who's this, I think she's now 650-pound pig, who Steve, one of the guys that runs it, was given as a supposed mini pig when she was little, and they lived in a little house in the city, and then obviously she grew and grew and grew, and they ended up, him and his then partner Derek, ended up opening a sanctuary because of Esther, really, because it was the only place that they could keep her, and now they have hundreds of animals. And I became very good friends with Steve. And I suddenly thought, I'm such a hypocrite. Like, at that point, I had given up eating all meat except for occasional chicken and bacon. I just thought, I'm such a hypocrite. I'm in love with this pig. I can see that this pig is emotionally intelligent, and I can see when she's scared, of something. I can see when she's happy. And it's that thing, I think, that we think you would never treat a dog like we treat farm animals, for example. And I just thought, I'm a hypocrite, I have to stop. And that kind of changed everything for me. I just thought I have to rethink. So I was already supporting a lot of animal charities, but I thought I have to rethink everything, really, which is when I went vegan and all that kind of stuff. But
wow, I love this conversation. I can't tell you that, you never know which way the twists and turns are going to take. And I had a similar one with Leslie, Nicole, Mrs. Patmore, Downton Abbey, because I took her to a farm sanctuary in the US, in LA. And she sat down on the floor with Sophie the pig. And Sophie was obviously the name of the girl that plays Daisy in the kitchen in Downton Abbey, right? So sorry, and Leslie, as she was stroking Sophie's tummy, she just looked up to me and she said, I can't eat Sophie the pig. And that was her. She went vegan almost overnight, as a result of that moment. And I'm exactly the same. Like you, I've always loved animals since before I could say the word animal. I've had a connection with them that it's almost hard to describe, isn't it? Because sometimes I think they reach places that people just simply can't reach. It's a fact, and I think it's one of the reasons I started Dr. Dog, which was an animal therapy program. Started out of Hong Kong, and then it went across 7 countries of Asia with over 1,000 dogs, just going with their wonderful owners into hospitals, disabled centres, homes for the blind, you know, and just giving people not only their 15 minutes of fame, but that gorgeous unconditional love that you know, for their physical and their psychological health. And we just saw the impact that these dogs and the nurses and doctors where this program had never even entered their minds, you know, and now suddenly they, you know, there was a waiting list for this program. And it's and I just, how do you get your therapy, Jane?
Well, partly Pickle, who we follow each other around all day, so so we get it off each other. We tend to go for a long walk every single morning, and that is all about meeting dogs. We know every single neighbourhood dog. I couldn't tell you the people, the names of the people, or nothing. But all of the dogs, and we pounce on people's dogs, and we play with people's dogs, and that really just sets you up for the day.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the thing about names, I find you have to say the name 4 times to remember, and I do that with people. You know how many times I do it with a dog?
Once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that? So, animals, Jane, your bear, your gorgeous Jane bear in Vietnam. So she, as you know, we rescued her in 2017 from the south, from Ho Chi Minh, along with 8 other bears in 2017. And we transported her across the country. I think I just said 2017 twice, didn't I? Did I? Oh, sorry. Can I start that again?
Yeah,
do you mind, just in case I've had a total brain fart? Sorry. You get carried away, Jane. This is so lovely, honestly. We just, you know, and I forget the questions. And anyway, so Jane, animals. Your bear, Jane. She's so gorgeous in Vietnam. I think you remember her story. We rescued her in 2017 with 8 other bears. In Ho Chi Minh, she came from a bear farm there and was transported right from the south to the north of the country to our sanctuary. She'd been on the farm, I think, for about 12 years. And by the time we got her on our surgery table, we realised what an absolute mess she was. I should say as well that the rescue was overseen by our incredible leader in Vietnam, Tuan Bendixson, the lovely Dr. Tuan. And all of these rescues are so different. None of them are the same.
I'm sure, yeah.
None of the bears are the same, as we've just been talking about, their individual personalities. And once we've got them on the surgery table, you know, our phenomenal vet team are just like looking at every single part. But the thing that stood out most was the head wounds on her head. And because she'd been banging her head against the bars of the cage for over a decade by then. And she was obviously terrified as well. Even then, she couldn't recognise that she'd come into the arms of a family that at last was loving her. And not a family, you know, not people that were going to be extracting her bile. So she was obviously put on a proper diet of nutritional food. She was given proper medication. She was given straw to lie on. She was given friends to play with, etc., etc. And we thought, yep, she was coping. She was dealing with it fine. But then, as we find again with bears, they regress. You know, I think it's almost like, again, it's like us. If we've been so badly treated, you've got this almost haunting thing in your brain that can come back, you know, and relive itself. And that's exactly what happened with Jane. And so our vet team had to go back to the table again and put her on different medications, maybe, I think, change the dynamic of the bear group that she was with. And again, she came through. And I think to the current day, she's got a best friend called Xanadu. She's got a boy bear that she's apparently besotted with. She's been seen cozying up in a hanging basket bed. And I just want, you know, what does it feel like, you know, being a bear guardian, having your own bear and living, you know, your life through hers, I guess.
It's lovely to get to know one as an individual, because obviously I haven't been over there, I haven't met them, so I love getting the little updates of her, and all of their stories are so harrowing, it's kind of unbearable. But I think we're sort of conditioned, aren't we? If we know there's a happy ending, we can listen to the terrible story that comes before it. It's hard otherwise.
Yeah.
No, I feel a connection with my bear.
Yeah. Will you come? Will you come?
I'd
one
love
day?
to one day, yeah.
Oh, Jane, we'd love you too. We really would. I promise you, you'll tell me, Jill, you didn't tell me it's like this. You will say that because it's someone called it food for the soul, and I can't put that better myself. It is. It's just swathes and swathes of grassy, football-sized enclosures with happy bouncing bears. That, you know, some of them have got 3 legs, some of them got no eyes, some of them got, you know, ears missing. They're hopping around. They're like old dodders. They play in slow motion, etc., etc.
How many do you have altogether in the various sanctuaries?
Oh my gosh, we've rescued over 680 bears now, Jane, so it's crazy. We've got over 200 in Vietnam, we've got 115 in China, and of course we're, you know, coming to the stage where we're rescuing another 300 bears. So, and I did want to also, I was going to add a little bit about Ricky, of course, Ricky Gervais, your partner, his bear, Derek, and you know, the opposite to Jane. There was a wonderful ending with Jane because she's, you know, she's been out there for so many years and she's got her life back. And in a sense, Derek, Ricky's bear, did as well. But his life was just too short.
Yeah.
You know, we rescued him. Well, we started working on the bear farm in Nanning in China in 2013. And he was a mess. Derek was an absolute mess, and one of his eyes was badly diseased, and that needed to be enucleated or removed. And then the next eye, of course, followed, and so he was completely blind. He had mobility problems. He'd had his teeth cut back, and so during that process on the farm, it had damaged the nerves of his tongue, so it hung out perpetually, sort of like a panting dog. But you know, we got him back to the sanctuary, and I want to say he was like a grateful bear, and that seems such a wrong description, but he was. He just kind of forgot everything of his past, and he just thought, I'm going to get on with his life, and he did. And we found him even a best friend in Barak, who also had nerve damage and had a tongue hanging out. So these 2 ridiculous bears were rolling around in slow motion because they were just so slow and arthritic, and just having the best time in the enclosures.
I love the way they form relationships. I'm sorry, I just hit my microphone. Yeah, I love the way they form relationships. It's so lovely to see.
They really, really do, and they just sort of search each other out, and they're just, you can get a piece of tissue paper sometimes between them because they're just so close, and they just have that need of being with each other, in that comfort. And that's basically the sad story about Derek, because we did have to gently say goodbye to him because he was, you know, he'd come to the end and he'd been so badly broken. So his time had come, and then several months after that, it was Barak's turn as well. You know, his best friend. So soon afterwards, and Nez, who's with me today, she's got the most beautiful film. I think you might have seen Our Goodbye to Derek, but if you haven't, we wanted to show you today and to remind everyone that's looking at this interview, just the sheer love and respect that these bears.
Just press.
Oh, it's going to make me cry. Still leg up in the air.
Derek and his chums, after a terrible existence on biofarms, can now enjoy the open air and they get veterinary help and everything.
like a pair of old drunks rolling around.
How very dare you?
So many of them seem to love the bubble baths.
Oh my gosh. And it's non-toxic, it's, you know, baby bath, and they do, it's especially the cubbies.
Really?
Yeah, they love it.
A lot of suffering real time, a lot of brightness being shown. The north to south, from east to west, welcoming we love the best.
Oh, you made me cry. I knew you would.
Oh, bless them. They all have their favourite toys and their favourite food that they're buried with.
bet.
And
That's lovely.
well, thank you, Jane, and thank you from Jane Bear and from Derek Bear, and for
Thank you for everything you do for them, my goodness.
Well, it's a journey, isn't it? And just this year is so special for us, and it's even more special because you're on it with us. And it's 25 years. It's the end of bear farming in Vietnam, and it's the founding goal. And I think I'm still pinching, you know, because it's obviously not the end in terms of, as a whole, the work that we do for animal welfare. But it's certainly one of those little ticks that we can go.
Just to remove something like that from the world,
Right.
you've done that. It's an incredible thing to have achieved.
Oh, I'm so proud of the team. Truly, it's taken a massive, massive team effort. And as I say, not without grey hairs, especially for people like Tuan and our vet and bear team on site, and in fact the rest of the organisation, because everyone is so invested in this journey as well. Jane, it really is. And we've loved you being a part of our family. I can't tell you. And I did want to end on a smile as well, because I've sent love from Jane and Derek Bear, but his love from Hector, reclining as only as our bears can recline as well.
Hector the Porn King. Look at Hector. It's like his OnlyFans shot.
Isn't that, I do say this to everyone, do you remember that Burt Reynolds shot of him naked on a bearskin rug?
Yeah.
And now Hector's getting his own back because he's doing it much, much better.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh, Hector, thank you.
Thank you, Jane, so much for everything.
Pleasure.
And stay with us and come and see us. With the bunting will be up if you can come out and be with the team. We'd love you too.
Thank you.
Can I give you a bear hug?
Yes, please do. Oh, thank you so much for everything you
Thank you for everything. Bless you.